Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to this free workshop on using tracks in worship for beginners. I'm really excited that you are joining me today for this class. My name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. I'm a worship leader. I've been leading worship since I was a teenager, probably since early 2000s. I've been using tracks for over 20 years now. And I'm really passionate about teaching worship leaders how to use tracks at their church, how to implement technology at their church to really take your worship service to another level. I've seen firsthand how tracks can really, really help your church's worship, especially if you're at maybe a small church where you don't have volunteers and band members, or even if you're a really large church, but there's some instruments and elements that you want to add into your set to just really make it sound full and huge. So whether you're at a small church or a really large church, using tracks is a tool that is incredibly helpful for worship leaders to take worship to the next level. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to dive in to just the beginning steps. Like, what do you need to actually use this at your church? How do you implement this? I hope that at the end of this workshop, you're going to walk away feeling very prepared, knowing exactly what you need to start using this at your church. This is a beginner class. Everybody who is watching this class today, for today only, we're going to give you a coupon code that you can use for a free track. So stick around, and at the end of the workshop, I'm going to give you a coupon code that you can use at loopcommunity.com for a free multi-track, any song you want. And I'm really hoping that this workshop is going to be really helpful for you as you learn how to use tracks in worship. So let's get started. Let's dive right in. My name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of Loop Community, loopcommunity.com. Let's go ahead and look at that real quick. Loop Community, if you have not heard of it before, Loop Community is a website where you can go and download tracks for worship songs. So we have tens of thousands of tracks. I'm telling you, we have, if you name the song, we've got a track for it. All right. And we sell different types of tracks. We have community tracks. These are tracks made by worship leaders from all over the world. We have master tracks. So if you're looking for the original track from your favorite artist like Hillsong, Bethel, Maverick City, Chris Tomlin, we've got those original tracks. We also have premium tracks, which are tracks that we make in our studio at Loop Community. And if you click on the feed, you can kind of just see like what the top songs are. This is also a great tool for worship planning. If you're like, hey, like what? I need some song ideas, song inspiration. I even used this a couple weeks ago when I was leading worship. I'm like, what songs are people doing right now? And you're like, oh, let's look at Honey in the Rock. And you can go in there and download the tracks for Honey in the Rock. You can scroll down and see some of the popular latest community tracks or premium tracks that we've posted. We've been posting a ton of new master tracks recently. So we've got Chris Tomlin, Bethel, Maverick City, Elevation, all in the past couple months. So that's really exciting if you're looking for those types of tracks. But in short, loopcommunity.com is where you go to actually download all the tracks that you want. So let's just say you're wanting to do Same God at your church. So let's click on Same God, and we can drill in here, and you can see we have the original master tracks from Elevation Worship. So let's go ahead and drill in, open up this page, and you can you'll see that there's a play button here where you can listen to the track. And what a multi-track is it's a song broken up into a bunch of different audio files where every instrument is its own audio file. So you've got the bass, the drums, the electric guitar, and you can use those instruments on Sunday morning. So if you don't need guitars, you can just mute them. Or if you don't need the acoustic, you can mute it. But if you're like, hey, we need the bass track, well, then you can just solo the bass track and play that out. So let me go just press play. This is going to load. And I'm going to show you how this online mixer works. The really cool thing about a track, using tracks, is that you have a click. Everybody in the band will hear this click in their ears. And this is what keeps everybody in time with each other. All right. This is a really important piece of using tracks in worship because everybody is playing in time with each other. You'll be amazed at how much better your band will sound by just playing to a consistent tempo. Because if you're not playing to a click, some people in your band are speeding up, other people are slowing down, and it kind of just starts sounding garbled. Well, if you're playing with a click track, it keeps everybody in time with each other. The other really cool thing about tracks is that along with a click, everybody can hear a little voice in their ear that tells them where they're going next. And it says things like verse, 2, 3, 4. It sounds like this. And everybody in the band can hear that along with the click track, and they know exactly where in the song they are. That is my favorite part about using tracks in worship for sure, because now there's no more guessing about where in the song are we going next? What's coming up next? I use it all the time in worship where I'm like, okay, we did rehearse this like 5 times, but actually I'm kind of forgetting how long is this interlude before we start singing the bridge. And now this little voice will tell you when that's happening. So let's go and press play again. Now we can mute whatever instruments we don't want. So if you're like, hey, you know what? We do not need the drums. Let's go ahead and find the drums. So you can actually use this online mixer to solo and listen to different parts. If you're like, let's listen to the electric guitar part or the acoustic part. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about, so that's what a track is. Now, if you're wanting to use that track, you can purchase it by adding it to your cart. And then what I'm going to show you today is the easiest way to use tracks. And I'm going to be using a free app that you can get in the App Store. This is for your phone. This is for an iPhone, an iPad, or your Mac. So just go to the App Store and search for the Prime Multitrack app. This is our app that Loop Community designed specifically for worship leaders. It's a completely free app. You download the app, and then you just purchase the songs to use inside of the app. All right, so the app is free, but you just purchase the songs that you need. And once you purchase these songs, you have them forever. Like they are in your library, and you can use them forever. So that's one of the huge benefits of Loop Community and buying tracks from Loop. So let's go in. I'm going to teach you how to use this app. The reason we developed this app is because there were other softwares out there that worship leaders could use to run tracks, but they were really complicated, very complex. And they gave you way more than worship leaders needed on a Sunday morning. So about 10 years ago, we were like, you know what? Let's just develop our own app that gives a worship leader everything they need to run tracks on a Sunday morning. And that includes doing things like changing the arrangement last minute, or changing the tempo or the key, or adding transitions between songs to make it really flow smoothly. So all those things that I know as a worship leader, you experience on a Sunday morning when you're in a rehearsal, you're like, oh man, we got to do that chorus again. Well, we added all of those features into this app so that it's just really simple for you. So I want to show you how this app works. I'm going to pull this up. This app is called Loop Community Prime, the Prime Multitrack app. And let me just give you an overview of what we're seeing here. All right. So I'm going to go and press play, and let's just make sure all the audio is working. I want to make sure you can hear the click and the tracks as well.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
So you hear that click track, you hear the band cues that are letting everybody know where in the song they are. So while this is playing, I'm just going to kind of bring this audio down. And let me just, while this is playing, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what this interface is. So you'll notice that at the top of the screen, we've got the overview of the song. This shows you where in the song you are. So right now we're in the verse. When it gets to the end of that verse, we're going to hear a little cue that lets us know where we're going in the song next. Here it comes. Ready?
Verse 2, 2.
So now we know to start singing verse 2. So this is your song overview. You can zoom in if you like that view. Down here in the bottom left corner, this is your mixer. So you can solo tracks if you just want to hear the acoustic, or maybe just the vocal, just the drums, or the guitars. So you can solo tracks, you can mute them if you're like, we don't want to use the acoustic. Because again, the whole idea of tracks is that you're adding elements that you don't already have on stage. So if you are playing acoustic guitar, you don't want to have an acoustic track, because then they're going to clash with each other. Same thing with drums. If you've got a drummer, don't use the drum tracks, just mute them. So you just want to use elements and instruments that are going to enhance what you already have. We like to say at Loop Community that tracks should never replace people, right? So if you've got somebody at your church who wants to play bass and be a part, don't just use a track. Instead, just use tracks for people who maybe can't show up. Like maybe your bass player gets sick and can't be there and you don't have anybody. This past weekend I was leading worship and we didn't have a keyboard player. We had a full band, but we did not have a keyboard player. So I used keyboard tracks.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
Down in the bottom right corner, this is your main control center. So this is the master volume of the song. Right here, you can change the key or the tempo of the song with just a couple clicks. You can change the key of a song. You can repeat a section of a song. I'll show you this stuff later. There's a fade out option, play, stop, next song, previous song, and then some more customization options for trimming the start and end time. But this is your control center here. So what I want to do, and then obviously this section here is your set list. These are the songs you're doing on a Sunday morning. So in this class, what I want to do is let's just start from scratch. We're going to build a set list together as if we're leading worship tonight. All right. And here's how you would do it. So I'm going to click on load set list and we're going to click on create new set list. This pulled up the set list window so you can actually see all of my past set lists that I've done. You can manage your set lists here. So like this one, let's actually delete this. I don't want this set list anymore. You can manage all of your set lists here. So I'm going to click on create new set list and we will call this September 13th. We'll hit create. And we're starting with a completely blank canvas and we can add songs that we want. So let's click on the add song button down here. And this is going to bring up my song library. These are all songs that are available to me in my account. And I can filter them by songs that I've purchased from Loop Community. Or I can also filter them by songs that I've uploaded to Loop Community. So you can actually, we'll talk about this later, but if you buy tracks from somewhere else, or you make your own, or you have your own audio that you want to use in the Prime app, you can upload those into your account and use them in Prime. Those are called cloud uploads. And then there's split tracks and click tracks, which we'll talk about that later. But let's look at just all, and let's bring in a song that we want to play. So let's just say our very first song in our set list is going to be Graves into Gardens. I'm going to click on it and load it into my set list. Here it comes. I've got the song. Let's go ahead and add another song. All right, we're going to do, I would love to do Firm Foundation. So we're going to bring that in. So we're just going to build a set list here. Let's add another one. Let's do, how about Oh Praise the Name? Let's see if I've got that here. Oh Praise the Name. I'm going to bring that in. And we'll just start with that. Oh, and you know what? Last minute, our pastor came up to us and said, hey, can you guys do Revelation song? But we don't have a track for it. But I want to at least play to a click. So I'm going to click on Add Song. And I'm going to click on Add Click Track right up here at the top. And this is going to let us add a click. We can just call it whatever we want. So I'll say Revelation song, closing for the closing. And I don't know what Revelation song is at, but let's just say it's at 72 and at 4/4, and you can click create, and it will add a click track to your set list. So it just sounds like that. Okay, so let's go to Graves and Gardens, and let's just look at some of the things you can do. We can zoom in on the waveform if we want to kind of look through the song arrangement, if we want to do that. We can also, change the volume of what instruments we need or what we don't want. So if I were really doing this Sunday, I'd probably, mute whatever we're not going to use. So we don't need this. We have a drummer. We're not going to get rid of that. Just get rid of anything that you already have in your band. So we're going to get rid of the strings. Let's just say that. So you can customize the volume of these tracks however you need to do, depending on what instruments you need. Okay, the red faders are the really important faders in that these are your clicking cues. So this is your metronome, and this is that little voice that says verse 2, 3, 4. That's really important, all right? So you want to make sure you keep those up. Now, let's go ahead and just press play. I'm going to show you how you can change the key on the fly. So down here, there's a key change option, and you can, let's just say we want to bring it down to the key of A, and now when I press play,
4, 5, 6.
It's in the key of A. All right, let's try firm foundation. I'm going to change the key to A. You can change it on the fly if you want.
Verse 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that's an awesome feature. You can change the key on the fly. It doesn't need any sort of reprocessing. You don't have to wait at all. You can do it while the song is playing. That's a really cool feature of the Loop Community Prime app. What's really cool is that we've also made it very smart in that it doesn't change the key of instruments that don't need to have the key changed. So you'll notice that the drums aren't changing key because you don't have to change the key of a drum. Or a shaker. The shaker doesn't change key. The only thing that it gets transposed are like the acoustics and electric guitars and the keyboards. So let me do it again so you can kind of hear it, because you can actually hear how the drums don't change, but everything else does.
Tag 3, 4, 5, 6.
Anyways, I'm gonna do the song in the key of A. The other thing you can also change, which is really cool, you can do it on the fly, is the tempo. So we're at 150 BPM. Check this out. While it's playing, I'm gonna change the tempo, and you're gonna hear the click speed up and all the tracks speed up.
Bridge 3, 4, 5, 6. Tag 3, 4, 5, 6.
How cool is that? Like in time, you can change the key and the tempo of the song, which is pretty awesome. If you press the next arrow, it's going to go to the next song and just kind of cue it up, and then you can press play. Another option is while the song is playing, let's just say you get to the very end of the song. While it's playing, if you press the next button,
End 3, 4, 5, 6.
it's going to automatically go to the next song and start playing it. So that's the next and previous
Intro,
buttons.
2, 3, 4.
So if you press backwards or previous, it's going to go back to
Intro,
the previous song
3,
and start
4,
playing
5,
it right
6.
away. But that's if play is already enabled. Okay, so that's your play, stop, previous, and next buttons. All right, now let's talk about what happens if you're in the song and you're like, you know what, we just want to play that, that outro again. So let's just say you're in "Oh Praise the Name" and you're like, we want to play the chorus again. Well, what you can do is there's a button down here called repeat, and when you press that button, it's actually going to flash this section, and it's going to repeat it. And what's awesome is that the cues are dynamic, meaning that when you tell it to repeat, those band cues are actually going to say chorus 2, 3, 4. So where it would usually say verse, because that's going to go into the verse, if you chose repeat, it's actually going to say chorus, and it's going to repeat the chorus. So let me show you how this works. Ready? We're in the chorus. Let's press repeat.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
And now it just repeated the chorus again. If you wanted to repeat this over and over and over and over, let's just say you're in the intro and you're like doing a long prayer and you just want to repeat it over and over, just press it twice. And that turns on infinite loop
3, 4.
or infinite repeat. And it's just going to keep repeating that intro forever and ever until you turn it off. If you turn it off,
Verse 2, 3.
now it's going to go right into the verse. So you could really be spontaneous with tracks by just using this repeat button, by either repeating one section once or repeating the section multiple times or as many times as you want, really. Now, being spontaneous with tracks doesn't just stop there, though. What's really cool is that you can also do something called section jumping. You can jump to different parts of the song whenever you want to. So back in the day, you used to have to play along with tracks. Well, now tracks can play along with you, depending on what you want to do. So let's just say you're in this intro and you're like, you know what? We want to go to the chorus. Just click on the chorus.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
And when it got to the end of that intro, it jumped to the chorus section. And that's a setting that you can change also if you want. If you're wanting to jump sooner, we have it by default in settings. You can change the jump time. By default, it's set to end of section. And that just means that when it gets to the end of section, do whatever it is we're telling it to do. So if you're in the intro and you want to go to the chorus, it's going to wait until the very end of the section to do that.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
So now it's in the chorus. But you could also change that if you want to maybe make it one bar. So that means if you're in the intro and you want it to go after one bar, check it out.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
So it actually jumped early. Let's go ahead and do it again. Let's just change it. You could also make it 2 bars. So after 2 bars, we want it to jump. So I'll do this from the verse. We're going to go to the instrumental. It's going to count 2 bars to do this.
Instrumental 2, 3, 4.
So those are different options you can adjust in settings. I recommend as a worship leader to keep it as end of section, mainly because that's usually when you'd want to jump. You really want to finish singing probably what you're already singing before you go somewhere else. So I would keep this as end of section. While we are in settings, let's look at a few other things you can change. You can change the cue sound or the voice that guides you through the song. So we have a couple different voices you can choose from. We have one in Spanish. We have one in Portuguese. We have people like Meredith Andrews and Phil Wickham recorded cue voices for us. If you want Meredith to lead you through the song, you can change it to Meredith, and it sounds like this.
Turn 2, 3, 4.
So Meredith is in there. You can also change the click sound. So there's 5 different clicks you can choose from. My favorite is rim. It sounds like this. But here they all are. If you are an Ableton Live fan, you might like digital. Let's turn it to rim.
2, 3, 4.
We also have a dark mode. So if you want to have Prime in dark mode, that is a very popular feature. All right. So you can turn on dark mode, light mode, whatever you want to do there. The other thing you can do is you can choose your click subdivision. So you'll notice that like on this song, the click is 2, 3, 4. I have found that sometimes it's hard for drummers to stay in time with a click if it's under 100 BPM. So if it's like this, I like to throw in the subdivision like that so that it's easier to stay in time with. So let me just show you what that would sound like. So I would just turn this on. You can also turn off the click accent if you don't want the accent.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
So you can kind of adjust the click that way, the click sound, the click subdivision, the click accent. Okay, so those are some of the settings. Now, the other things you can do are, let's just say you want to customize this song so that it is how you play it at your church. So let's look back at Firm Foundation, and let's just say you're like, you know what? This song is just a little bit too long for us. Like, we need to trim it down. Well, what you can do is you can click on Edit and go to Edit Arrangement. And all of these blocks become like little Legos that you can move around. So let's just say you're like, you know what? We want to start with the chorus. You could just drag the chorus to the very beginning, and you can customize this song exactly how you want to do it. So I'm actually going to bring this chorus back, okay? And then you can also right click and delete sections. So if you're like, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of this instrumental. Let's get rid of one of these bridges. And let's get rid of the outro pre-chorus like this. Also, I'm going to get rid of one of these choruses, kind of to make this song a little shorter. If you delete something on accident or you want to add something else, you can just double click anywhere on the timeline and you can add a section. So if you want to add the down bridge, you can do it and add it right here. And then you can move it around. So the whole song became a Lego set that you can customize and put together and make the song exactly how you want to play it at your church. Because I know that everybody does these songs very differently. Not everybody wants to do the song exactly like the recording. So you might want to do double chorus at the beginning. Let's do that actually. Let's double click and let's just add in a chorus. And now I have two choruses at the very beginning of the song. Now when I'm finished, I can press done. And what's very cool is with the dynamic cues, all of my cues have automatically updated to follow my new arrangement. So the little voice is going to tell us exactly where we're going. Let's try it out.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6. Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
So now we've got two choruses, and then we're going to go jump into the intro here.
Intro 3, 4, 5, 6.
So you can really make these songs your own, which is a really great feature of the Prime app. That's one of the things I love using this app, is because it's so easy to make changes last minute. I can't tell you the number of times, right? You're in a Sunday morning rehearsal and you're like, you know what? That song just feels really long. We're singing that bridge way too many times. Well, what you can do is just quickly in a rehearsal, just go over here, hit edit arrangement, right click on the bridge, hit delete, and you're done. And bam, your click, your cues, all your tracks have updated to whatever it is that you're wanting to do for Sunday morning. So I love using this app when I'm leading worship, just because it's very simple. If you want to change the key and the tempo, you can do it with a tap and it's done. Let me show you another button. When you're playing the song, let's just say you're wanting to fade out the tracks for some reason. There's a fade out button right here. Let me show you what it does. So it fades out all of the instrument tracks, but it keeps the click going. You can also fade back in if you want to.
Bridge 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that is the fade out, fade in button. Let's talk about song transitions. So this is key for anybody leading worship. You know that it is so important to have a smooth transition between songs. I'm going to add one more song in my set list. Let's do House of the Lord. Okay. Go and scroll down here and find it. We're going to do House of the Lord, which, by the way, you can also search for songs up here at the top. Let's try searching. We'll bring in House of the Lord. And we're going to do this first. I can reorder my set list by just dragging this song up to the top. Okay, we're not going to do Graves into Gardens anymore. I'm going to remove it from my set list by just right-clicking. You can also, if you're on an iPad, you would just swipe left to delete. Let's go and talk about transitions. So let's just say you're in this song and you want to go from this song into the next song smoothly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn on what's called crossfade. Well, actually, let me just show you the different transitions we have. So over here, these are your transition options. So if you just have a play button like this is just a normal transition. It means that when it gets to the end of the song, it's going to just stop playing the song when it gets to the end.
End. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, it's just going to stop. And the next transition is called auto advance. This means that when it gets to the end of the song, it's going to go into the next song automatically. And actually, I'm going to choose a different song just because that one is actually not a great example for what I'm trying to show you today. So let's do, hang on. Let's try Lion and the Lamb. Okay. Or sorry, I did not read that correctly. Let's try Battle Belongs. Okay, I'm going to bring in Battle Belongs. I'm wanting to, all right, this one would be perfect. I'm wanting a good song to show you transitions so you can actually hear it really well of how it actually works. Okay, so let's do auto advance. So right here, I'm going to turn on auto advance and watch what happens.
2, 3, 4.
When it gets to the end of the song, it's going to automatically go to the next song and start playing it. So it went right into the next song.
3, 4.
All right, so that's what's called auto advance. Now, there was still a lot of time though in between there, so I'm going to go to another transition. This is called overlap. What it means is that when this is about to end, it's actually going to start the next song before this one's over. So let's go ahead and press play and you'll hear how this sounds.
In. 2, 3, 4. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Cool?
Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Let's look at another one. The next transition is called crossfade. It's the same thing as overlap, except for that what it does is it starts fading out the volume of this one and fades in the volume of the next one. Kind of like overlap, but it's also just crossfading into it. This is my favorite transition because it's just really smooth. Let's go ahead and press play. You can hear it.
In. 2, 3, 4. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Great. Really smooth transition there. I love the crossfade transition. Let me show you the last one. The last one is called trigger. And what this is for people who want the song to end, but they want the click to keep going.
2, 3.
So let's just say you're like, you know what? We just want to hang out on this song for a while and we just want to click and we're going to play along, you know, maybe do another down chorus about a belongs or something. But we want to play with a click. It's just going to continue the click forever until you tell it to go to the next song, which I can do by just pressing the next button. And now we're right into House of the Lord.
Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Now, if you're wanting to make some of these transitions even tighter, so let's turn on crossfade. If you want to make it even tighter, what you can do is down here, you can set the end time for that first song. So right now, this song, Battle Belongs, is ending at 4:41. If I want it to be just a little tighter, I'm going to bring back the end time to maybe like 4:36 and check out what happens.
In. 2, 3, 4. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
And now we're right in to House of the Lord. That was a great transition.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
So you can use the start and end time down here to maybe trim the beginning of a song. You know, sometimes a song might have too long of a blank space that maybe you want to trim. You can trim it by just adjusting the start time, or you can trim the end section by using this end option right here. So hopefully that makes sense on how to actually use transitions to really make worship flow very smoothly. Let's just say that between two songs, you want to have a pad so that you can maybe say a prayer or have a verbal moment where you want to say something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually search for pads. We sell pads at Loop Community. They're called Prime Pads. And you can add these to your set list. So I'm going to go ahead and add one in. It's going to start downloading. While it's downloading, let me show you where you can get that. If you just go to the Loop Community website and search for Prime Pad, you will see a list of a ton of different pads that we have available for the Prime app. And they're only $5 right here. You can hear it. This is what it sounds like. Well, that's what this one sounds like. We have a ton of different ones that sound all different. But once you have these pads, you can actually use this pad and bring it anywhere you want in your set list. So if I want to transition out of House of the Lord into Firm Foundation, all right, let's just say Firm Foundation is in the key of A. So I'm going to put my pad in the key of A so that it transitions perfectly into Firm Foundation. The other thing with these pads is you can customize the sound of the pad by adjusting these levers here. So let me go just press play and I'll adjust some of the faders so you can hear. Some shimmer. So you can adjust the sound of the pad if you want. There's a click option if you want that, but you don't have to have a click. And I'm going to turn on crossfade. So I'm going to crossfade out of House of the Lord into the Prime guitar pad, into crossfade, into Firm Foundation. And actually, I'm going to move, again, for this example, I'm going to just put Oh Praise the Name up here. We're going to crossfade out of Oh Praise the Name. And let's go and I'm going to show you how this sounds. So let's go and press play.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So I was messing with it while it played, but what I want to do is I'm going to change the end time a little bit so we're not waiting so long. Let's go and press play.
4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There goes the crossfade. That was a nice crossfade. We went from the key of C into the key of A very smoothly. It was a 10-second fade out into a 10-second fade in. And now this pad is going to play for 10 minutes. Whenever I'm ready, so I could just talk and pray or do whatever I want to do, whenever I'm ready for it to go into the next song, I can just press the next arrow and it's going to do something called crossfade on demand. So it's going to crossfade whenever I tell it to go to the next song. So let's go ahead and press next.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
And a perfect transition now into Firm Foundation.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
That was an awesome transition. So that's a feature called crossfade on demand. You can crossfade whenever you want, as long as you have the crossfade button turned on and then press the next button. And it will crossfade when you tell it to. Now you could also set like a timer. So for example, let's just say I'm like, you know what? I only want to talk for 1 minute. I'm going to change the end time of this. If you press and hold it, it's going to start jumping in larger increments by the minute or so. So here we go. I'm going to bring it back to 1 minute. Actually, let's make it even less than that. All right. So we're going to have like, let's say we're going to have like 30 seconds. And I just want to show you how this crossfade will work. So the pad's going to go for 39 seconds. Let's go and try this out from the top.
2, 3, 4.
Nice crossfade right into the pad. I've got, 30 seconds to say what I need to say, read a scripture, pray. And then it's going to automatically go right into my next song. There it goes.
Chorus 3, 4, 5, 6.
So those are transitions in Prime. I'm telling you, running tracks in Prime will make your life so much easier because it's just easy. It takes hardly no time at all to set up these customizations. If you're using other software, I'm telling you, you're going to spend a lot more time configuring your set list and your songs to sound and flow the way you want them to. I highly recommend this app for worship leaders, and it's not because we developed it. I honestly think it's really the best app out there for running tracks. And I know it sounds like I'm being very biased on that, which, of course, there probably is some slight bias in that. But I really do think we've created a product that helps worship leaders with how they run tracks. I use this every single week when I run tracks. And that wasn't always the case. Like I used Ableton Live for 15 years. And then about 4 years ago or so, I switched over to running only the Prime app because it just saves me so much time in a rehearsal. So the last two things I want to talk about today are audio routing. How do you actually get this stuff out of your computer into a sound system? And then I want to talk about MIDI mapping. So how do you control it? What are some tips how do you use like a foot controller to control this tracks? So first thing, let's talk about audio routing. How do we get the audio out of Prime into your sound system? Well, this is Tracks for Beginners, this class is. And so we're going to start with just the very basic, simple way to do it. And the basic, easy way to do it is by using a cable that looks like this. This is a cable that you can get at Amazon for like $10. It's a headphone cable that splits into 2 1/4-inch cables. Now, this is Audio 101, all right? Sometimes people think, well, your headphone jack is only one output because it's one jack. But actually, your headphone jack is 2 outputs because it's a stereo cable. I don't know if you guys can see that with the focus here. It's a stereo cable. You've got the left side and you have the right side. And so what this cable does is it takes that stereo signal and it splits it into 2 separate outputs, the left side and the right side. With these cables, a little trick is red is always right. Red is right. Right is red. So this is the right side of your headphone jack, and this is the left side of your headphone jack. And what we're going to do is we're going to just come out of our computer or out of our iPad, and it's going to take that headphone signal, it's going to split it. And Prime is really smart in that we made it so it auto routes the audio. All of the blue faders that you see in Prime are automatically routed to the left side of your headphone jack. And all of the red tracks are routed to the right-hand side of your headphone jack. So we automatically split it or we automatically pan it for you. So it's so easy. You don't even have to do anything. You just plug it into your computer and the audio will be routed the right way it needs to go. You just need this cable, okay? And again, this is like $10 on Amazon. You can get it. Let me show you a little diagram of how you actually can set that up. The diagram looks like this. This is a very easy way to connect it to your sound system. Okay, let me zoom in. We've got the Prime app on your iPad. You come out with this headphone cable. and you're going to go into 2 different direct boxes. These are like what you would plug your acoustic guitar into or a keyboard. The click is going to go into one, and the tracks are going to go into the other. And then you send the tracks to your sound system. And you got to tell your sound team, like, hey, turn up these tracks. You have to start thinking of tracks as another instrument in your band. You got to turn them up in the sound system so that everybody in your congregation can hear them. It's another instrument in your band now. The click and cues go to your band. So however your band is hearing themselves, you're going to send the click and the cue. That's the metronome and the little voice that lets everybody know where they're going. So you're going to send that to your band. Now, if you're using in-ear monitors, that's very easy, right? Everybody in your band just turns that up in their in-ear monitors and you're good to go. Now, real quick, I'll just touch on this, but for those of you who do not have in-ear monitors at your church, you can still run tracks. And I made a diagram that shows you how you can do that. All you have to do is get the click to your drummer or whoever's keeping time in your band. Maybe it's an acoustic guitar player. Most likely it's the drummer. So same diagram, you send the tracks to the sound system, but here the only difference is that you're going to send the click into a little mixer. And you can buy one of these mixers on Amazon for $50, a 2-channel mixer. And you're going to put this mixer back by your drummer or whoever your timekeeper is. And your drummer is going to put on a pair of headphones plugged into the mixer. And on channel 1, you're going to plug the click in. And on channel 2, you're going to plug in whatever you're sending back to your drummer. Maybe it's a floor monitor. You're going to plug that into channel 2 of the mixer. And now your drummer can turn up channel 1 to adjust the volume of the click and channel 2 to adjust whatever you were sending to his monitors. This is basically an in-ear monitor setup for your drummer. If you don't have in-ears at your church, this is a very affordable way to do it. You could do it all in here for like probably less than $100. And this is not the best case scenario. Like best case scenario, everyone in your band has in-ear monitors. But if you don't have that, and I understand maybe you don't because it's really expensive to have a full in-ear monitor system at your church, this works. I ran tracks for 5 years as a worship leader just like this. I never even heard the click. As long as the drummer can hear the click, they can just click you off like tss, 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 and then you're all in on the song. Now, the only downside is that you just have to have the song arrangement memorized because obviously you can't hear the cues, but that's the downside. But this is the way you can do it if you don't have in-ear monitors at your church. It's totally doable, not a big deal, very easy. So that's the easy way to run audio out of your iPad, your iPhone, your Mac, and get it into the sound system. Now, if you want to get more advanced, you could use something like an interface. Like we have something called the track rig that lets you run multiple outputs out of Prime. So if you want to send the click and the guitars and the drums and bass all out of their own outputs, you can do that with Prime. But this workshop is Prime for beginners. If you want to learn how to use an interface, then you can join us at our workshop coming up on Thursday. That is Prime Advanced. And we're going to talk about a lot of more advanced features in Prime. That's coming up on Thursday. So that's how you do audio routing for beginners. Now, let's talk about, before we close this workshop, we're going to talk about how to, and stick around, by the way, if you want to get your promo code for a free track at Loop Community today only. Stick around. I'm going to give that to you soon. Let's talk about how do you control your tracks. And I'm going to show you this controller. This is one of my favorite controllers. This is called the Looptimus Mini. And it's a very simple USB controller. You plug it into your computer or your iPad with a USB cable. And it gives you 3 buttons that you can use to control your tracks. Okay? And so I could map these buttons to be, song 1, song 2, song 3, or I could have it as like start, stop, next, or I could have it as song 1, song 2, song 3, and then if you press and hold and release, that's song 4, or press and hold and release, that's song 5, press and hold and release, that's song 6. So 3 buttons, but 6 things you can do. This is the Looptimus Mini. This is the easiest foot controller there is out there for running tracks in worship. It's very just basic and simple. We have a more advanced one. If you want to learn about that, join us on Thursday for our advanced class. But this is the Looptimus Mini. And if you go to looptimusmini.com, you can learn more about this controller. It's only $100. Let me go and plug it in and show you how you would use this with Prime. So I'm going to just plug it in with a USB cable right here. And I'm plugged in. Now let's look at Prime. And under devices, or under MIDI, I'm sorry, I'm going to choose MIDI. And you'll see that it lit up with a button that says that it basically is letting me know that a MIDI controller is connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on MIDI, and I'm just going to erase all of the current mappings so we can start from scratch here. But anything you see that has a white rectangle on it can be mapped to a button on the Looptimus Mini. So let's just keep this very simple. I'm going to make this button play. I'm going to make this button stop. And I'm going to make this button next. Really simple. I'm going to close this out. Let's go to the beginning of my set list. And let's go ahead and press play. It's going to start my set list. And again, this is a foot controller, so you'd put this down by your feet.
4.
When you're done playing, you can press stop. I can go next to the next song and press play. Very, very easy to use. This controller is the best.
4.
If I want to go to the next song, I can just press next. It's actually going to crossfade because I have crossfade turned on.
3, 4.
Which, that was a weird transition, but it's just because I had crossfade turned on and I did crossfade on demand there. But let's just say you want to do something else. So I want to go MIDI, and you know what? I want to make a repeat section. I'm going to make it this button. If I press and hold and release, that's going to be repeat. So if I'm in a song and I want to repeat a chorus, check it out. I could be playing. Let's repeat. Press and hold. Let go.
Chorus. 2, 3, 4.
Press it once to stop. So I can have full control of my tracks, all with this little teeny tiny controller down by my feet as I lead worship. And I think it's really great when a worship leader runs tracks, especially if you are wanting to be spontaneous, because if the worship leader is the one who kind of usually knows, like, oh yeah, we're going to repeat a chorus here. Well, then I can just press this button to repeat the chorus. And it lets my entire band know where we're going in the song. So if you are interested in the Looptimus controller, you can just go to products and go to Looptimus Mini, and you can check it out on our website, learn about it. We have a ton of videos, and you can purchase it here. It's only $99. So if you are interested in that, check it out. Very great controller for controlling your tracks in worship. All right, you guys, we covered a bunch of stuff in today's workshop. This was a beginner class of how to use Prime to run your multi-tracks in worship. And we wanted to keep it very simple for you. This was just an introduction. We talked about building a set list, customizing your tracks, your set list, your arrangement, changing the key, the tempo, using a controller, audio routing. Now, if you want to dive deeper into more advanced features, I'm going to be covering that in our class on Thursday. On Thursday, we're doing an advanced class, and you can sign up on our Facebook page for that class. And we're going to be covering stuff like syncing set lists with other devices, sharing set lists with your team. If you want to share a set list with your band members so that at home they can load the app on their phone and practice their parts at home, you can do that with the Prime app. We're going to talk about automating lyrics and lighting using the Prime app. I'm going to talk about more advanced audio routing features. And so all of those things are going to be covered in our advanced class happening on Thursday, same time. Make sure you sign up, register for that. And if you need to rewatch this video, it's going to be posted on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to rewatch it, really glad that you joined us today. Loop Community is a completely free community to join. You can join our Facebook group. There's tons of worship leaders in there who started just like you are as a beginner, and they would love to answer your questions. Join our Loop Community Facebook group. Community is in our name for a reason. We are way more than just an online track store. We're a community of worship leaders using tracks. And so you'll find that all the people at Loop Community are just really helpful. We're a team of like 8 people, and so we're easy to get a hold of. Just email us, call us. We would love to help you get started. For everybody who watched this class today, for today only, I'm going to give you a promo code that you can use today only. It's going to expire after today, all right? This is going to give you a free track. The code is beginner30. So all caps, beginner30. That's going to give you a free app track, all right? So a track that you can use inside of Prime. Go to our website, go to the feed, find any song that you want to try out, and use at checkout beginner30, and it's going to give you that app track to use in the Prime app. To find the app tracks, you just click on a song here, and right here you'll see in-app only. Choose this. This is going to give you the track available to you inside of the Prime app, and you can start playing with Prime right away today. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. I hope this class has been helpful for you. Write down in the comments any questions you have. Email us at support@loopcommunity.com or give us a call, 312-LOOP, 312. We would love to help you. I hope that this has been a helpful class for you to start using tracks in your worship services at church. Thanks so much for being a part of Loop Community. I hope to meet you in person someday. Hope to see you around the site. Thanks for joining us today. Talk to you soon.